Welcome to the Raleigh Board of Selectmen meeting for Monday night, January 29th, 2018, at 7 p.m. at the Town Hall, 139 Main Street, Raleigh. First order of business, call the meeting to order. This meeting is being audio and video recorded digitally. First order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we're going to try to schedule the public comment from 7:05 to 7:10. And at 7:15, we have an appointment with Alyssa King and Conservation Agent Brent Bazelak. And we have general business. So we'll go right to general business, number 1. General business, number 1. Town of Raleigh Board of Selectmen, January 16th, 2018, regarding the hiring freeze. Dear Board, please accept this request to lift the hiring freeze in order to hire both per diem dispatchers and reserve officers in order to fill vacancies within both positions. Respectfully, Scott A. Dumas, Chief of Police.
Give you a motion, Mr. Chairman. Second.
Mr. Chairman, does the chief or any of those people ever appear before the board to explain why they want the freeze lifted, other than they just want to add more people to the payroll?
They
Never
can't.
hear anything about that.
They can be. They can appear.
All right.
We don't always.
So these are not additional people
All right.
to add to the payroll. These are the ones that replace the officers when they're out sick or on vacation or out for some other reason. They just don't have enough to fill the position, so they hire these people before they hire the regulars at a time and a half rate. So we actually save money if we have sufficient reserves, both dispatcher and police officer.
Okay, we have a motion made and seconded to approve to lift the hiring freeze. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And we have new business. Number 1. Dear Raleigh Board of Selectmen, I am writing to inform you that the Pine Grove School Council voted unanimously on Wednesday, January 17th, 2018, for Jeff Vincola to replace Jeff Szymanski as a parent representative on the Pine Grove School Building Committee. Sincerely, and on behalf of the Pine Grove School Council, Christine Nealon, Jennifer Dubas, teacher, Elizabeth Butler, teacher, Elise Earls, teacher, Mo Lavasser, community rep, Andy Wallen, parent, Elena Rosnoff, parent, Kelly Smullen, parent.
I'll give you the motion, Mr. Chairman. Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve adding Jeff Vincola or having Jeff Vincola replace Jay Szymanski as the parent representative on the Pine Grove School Building Committee. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, number 2. Open annual town meeting warrant. The Board of Selectmen needs to vote to open the annual town meeting warrant and to close the warrant on Monday, February 26, 2018 at 4 p.m. Motion to open the warrant.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to open the annual town meeting warrant. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, the public comment period is now open. Larry?
Thank you. Larry White, Central Street. Just want to continue on looking at the Triton budget. I know it's coming up for discussion and everything, and last week I mentioned that the current budget, the way it the request was around $4.835 million. And to give people an idea of Rowley's share of that, and I'm not recommending this action, I'm sure that there are other methods that can be done, but to give the public an idea of Rowley's share of that tentative budget request, what Rowley would have to do. Police department would be cut in half. That's by people and services. Fire department, cut in half, people and services. Library, cut in half, people and services. We're not there yet. Shut down completely. Finance committee, inspection department, emergency management, constable, council on aging, conservation commission, harbor master, highway department, board of health. That's a lot of cutbacks and a lot of shutdowns, but to give you an idea of what the town might have to suffer for the Triton budget. They might have to cut personnel and programs. We're looking at the possibility of personnel and programs as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Henry?
Yeah, Henry Rolfe, 13 Plantation Drive, a resident of Raleigh for over 16 years. I have some editorial points dealing with revenue. Number one is adopt hotel motel occupancy tax at once. The state tax is 5.7%. The local option is 6%. Revenue. Ask all town departments to reduce budget requests for next fiscal year by a minimum of 5%. Revenue. Revised list of the liquor license fees. New fees should be based on store or restaurant financial statements for the previous year. All parties requesting hearings before the town boards, this is another item, are to pay a fee of $50. Revenue. Participation in the Council of Aging grocery shopping is way down. They are using the sport utility, not the old van. I noticed just one person on a recent Wednesday as it left the plantation. That situation needs to be studied. Revenue. Monies for the Pine Grove athletic fields. Use community preservation and also something you might have heard of, the state budget amendment funds accessed by your state rep and your state senator. Some towns, particularly I noticed southwest of Boston, get as much as $200,000 that way, and they go back year after year for more. Raleigh athletic improvement is a term you'd use to describe the project. You don't have to be specific. Revenue. Create Raleigh Economic Development Commission similar to Georgetown's. Town planner to serve as administrator 20 hours weekly. Set up a website. Send emails. Get the selectmen to go on the telephone. Distribute a bulletin or other message may be emailed to something like 50,000 likely prospects worldwide. Update zoning to allow 5-story industrial and commercial buildings on Route 1. Revenue. Develop unused parts of Dodge Reservation as Raleigh Forest Products Enterprise under the guidance of the Commonwealth, the conservation agent, and a new RFP enterprise com of 3 members. Some of the desirable hardwoods most of us have seen there include oak, ash, maple. There are softwoods and white cedar. They are mature trees, and something should be done with them. That's it.
Thank you. Okay, I'll close public comment. Going on with new business, discuss the fiscal year budget update and budget guidelines. We're proceeding to build a fiscal year 19 town budget based on a 1% cost of living increase and a 1.25% step increases for a total of 2.25% in wage increases. The Personnel Advisory Committee has recommended to the Board of Selectmen that the longevity schedule match the amounts in the AFS CME agreement. The adjustment increases are as follows. Current, years of continuous active service, 5 or more, $225, 10 or more, $325, 15 or more, $375, 20 or more, $425. Proposed to match the current AFS CME amounts. Years of continuous active service, 5 or more, $250, 10 or more, $375, 15 or more, $450, 20 or more, $525. 5 or more increased by $25, 10 or more is increased by $50, 15 or more is increased by $75, and 20 or more is increased by $100. Governor Baker has just released his budget, which includes a 3.5% increase in the unrestricted general government aid, UGGA, and a 2.2% increase in Chapter 70 aid. Unfortunately, the governor's budget level funds regional school transportation. Under the governor's budget, the UGGA local aid amount Raleigh is slated to receive is an additional $18,882 over last year. Fiscal year UGGA equals $539,494. UGGA increase of $18,882. While this increase is small, we need to hope that it won't be decreased by the legislature when it takes up the budget review.
Mr. Chairman, I'll give you a motion to approve the longevity increases.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to improve the longevity increases as recommended by the Personnel Committee. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. New business number 4. Hi, Amy. Below is an offer from the DMF to participate in the 2018 green crab trapping. The town participated in this not last year, but the year before. They are offering the town $10,000 again, and I believe this year will be more successful. This past summer, I did some trapping myself and realized how bad the situation actually is, and will put more effort into this program than prior. Please let me know if there are any questions. If you could pass this on to the selectmen and advise on what to do next, that would be very much appreciated. Thank you, Travis Nealon.
I'll give you a motion, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to participate in the green crab trapping program, which is administered by the Department of Marine Fisheries, is it?
Yes.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Still got to get rid of those green crabs. Okay, new business number 5. Discuss sending a letter to the Peabody Essex Museum. Finance Committee member Paul Jalbert has been following the move of some of the Peabody Essex Museum's collection to Raleigh. He expressed some concerns to Debbie about the tax-exempt status of the museum and the impact on Raleigh's property tax revenue. He suggested it would be a good idea to meet with the head of the museum to discuss the establishment of a relationship between the town and the Peabody Essex Museum. Attached is a draft letter to the museum. Should I read the draft?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, and Mr. White, the chairman of the Finance Committee, is here, and he did discuss this with Mr. Jalbert, though the Finance Committee hasn't discussed this yet. But if the selectmen endorse it this evening, they'll put it on next week's Finance Committee meeting agenda.
Okay. Dated January 29th, 2018, Mr. Dan L. Monroe, Director, Peabody Essex Museum, 161 Essex Street, Salem, Mass. 01970. Dear Director Monroe, we welcome the arrival of the Peabody Essex Museum. PEM to our town of Raleigh. PEM is a prestigious institution with a global reputation. We invite you to meet with us so that we may welcome you and discuss the future of our PEM/Town of Raleigh relationship. The Raleigh Board of Selectmen meets on Monday evenings at 7 p.m. in the Town Hall. Please contact the Selectmen's office at 978-948-2372 or the Town Administrator, Deborah M. Egan, at 978-948-2705, if you are willing to be added to the agenda. Thank you. Sincerely, Mr. Joseph Perry, Chairman, Raleigh Board of Selectmen, Mr. Larry White, Chairman, Raleigh's Finance Committee.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve sending the letter to the Director of the Peabody Essex Museum. All those in favor say aye.
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 Mr. Chairman, we have for new business number 6 and old business number 1, Raleigh Municipal Lighting Plant Manager Dan Folding and Fire Chief James Broderick here tonight to discuss both of those items.
Okay.
But we do have that 7:15 appointment with
Right.
Mr. Bazelak and Ms. King.
Okay.
But just so you're aware, after that, those two items, if they could be taken up together after this appointment.
So I'll do the 7:15 appointment. We have a 7:15 appointment with Alyssa King and Conservation Agent Brent Bazelak to discuss Open Space Committee vacancy. There is one opening on the Open Space Committee. Miss Alyssa King attended a recent Conservation Commission meeting to discuss her interest in serving on the Open Space Committee. The Conservation Commission has submitted a letter to the Board of Selectmen recommending that Ms. King be appointed to the vacancy. Ms. King's letter of interest and resume are also attached. Mr. Joseph Perry, Chairman, Board of Selectmen, 139 Main Street, Raleigh, Mass. Subject, recommendation for appointment to Open Space Committee. Dear Mr. Perry, the Conservation Commission wishes to express its support of Miss Alyssa King's request for appointment to the Open Space Committee. Ms. King attended the Commission's public meeting held on Tuesday, January 2nd, 2018, and discussed the work of the Open Space Committee and her interest and qualifications with the Commissioners. The Commission is impressed by Ms. King's qualifications and experience and interest in serving the community and protecting the town's open space properties. The Commission respectfully requests that the Board of Selectmen give full consideration to Ms. King's request for appointment. Sincerely yours, Raleigh Conservation Commission, Arthur S. Page III, Chairman. Hello, my name is Alyssa King. I've been a resident of Raleigh since July 2016, and I'm very interested in volunteering on the Open Space Committee. I graduated from Tufts University with a degree in biology and environmental studies, and have spent the 10 years since graduation working for a number of nonprofit organizations, including Earthwatch Institute, a nonprofit that specializes in sending volunteers to international locations to conduct citizen science, and most recently, the School for Field Studies, a field-based environmental study abroad program for undergraduate students. I am an avid runner, outdoorswoman, and most recently enjoy time on the trails with my 1-year-old daughter in tow. I would love to help maintain Raleigh's recreational spaces and natural resources. Please let me know how I can be of assistance. Please do not hesitate to reach out with any questions. My phone number is 978-380-4902. Best, Alyssa King, Safety and Student Life Manager.
Is she here?
Alyssa?
Does Brent want to say anything?
Yes,
first, and
Brent.
then introduce her.
Thank you very much, Chairman Perry and members of the Board of Selectmen. I think the letter of recommendation stands on its own, and I don't believe I could eloquently add anything. Hopefully, you've had an opportunity to look at Ms. King's resume, and I believe that she would be an asset, and especially her enthusiasm, backed up by her education and experience, would be invaluable, I think, to contributing to the functioning of the Open Space Committee.
Thank you.
Ms.
Thank you
King.
very much for your consideration and for your time this evening. I had the opportunity to sit in on the Open Space Committee meeting as a guest a couple of weeks ago, and was enthralled with what they get to get engaged with, and I would love to be a part of that, and appreciate your time and consideration with that.
Thank you. You did indicate your interest in serving, why you are interested in your email. Are you available to attend the Open Space Committee meetings?
Yes, I am, sir.
And the Open Space Committee works with and through the conservation agent, who is the on-site custodian of the town's open space properties. Do you have any questions about that? And she would still have to take the ethics,
An online state ethics exam is required and posted with the town clerk.
Right.
So after she's sworn in, but until the board takes that vote, and we issue an official action notice from this office, and she'll bring that to the town clerk and then get her ethics test done.
How long is the appointment for?
For at least 1 year.
This would be for the end of the fiscal year and then up for the appointment again, as I understand. But if Mr. Basil could clarify that, I believe it's
No, I believe
last
so.
remaining
Yeah.
open.
Okay, I'll make a motion to appoint Ms. King to the position until June 30th, 2018.
I'll second.
motion has been made and seconded to appoint Melissa King to the Open Space Committee. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Congratulations, welcome, thank you very much for your service.
Yeah, I just want to say it's great to get new people involved in the management of the town, especially people who are so qualified for the job like yourself, so I really appreciate it.
Yes, very much so. Thank you.
Thank you very much,
Right.
First Selectman. May I be of further service to the board this evening?
No, I think we're all set. Thank you
Thank
very
you
much.
very much. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Okay. Hi, Chief. Hello. Discuss alarm systems for municipal buildings. Fire alarm system. Chief Broderick provided the attached memo regarding the municipal fire alarm systems. If the selectmen wish to keep the current municipal alarm system, an agreement will need to be entered into with Verizon, or the wires will need to be moved to the town's portion of the poles. The selectmen may wish to instead decommission the system and move to a fire system where each building is monitored by a private company for a monthly fee. Chief Broderick and Dan Folding are here tonight to discuss these options, which also pertains to old business number 1, Verizon pole agreement. Chief.
Just to kind of give there's 26 buildings in town that are on the municipal fire alarm wire, and it's buildings that have the red box on the front, like Town Hall does, and Center School, Pine Grove School, the fire station. The town has 6 buildings that are on the system, and the other 20 are different businesses in town. They could either be on Main Street, which would be St. Mary's Church, O'Reilly Crossing, which is across from the pharmacy, and then it goes down Haverhill Street, and there's a couple on Haverhill Street before Route 1. The line goes to the police station, and the only thing on the other side of Route 1 that's on it is the dentist office. And then it goes north on Route 1 up to Turcotte Memorial Drive, and the Market Basket's on at the Georgetown Savings Bank. Raleigh Crossing used to be, right on the Newburyport Turnpike, Yankee Village for those old timers. Schilling Toys, or the Peabody Essex Museum. I'm trying to remember the name. It was a label company. and it goes up to Turcotte. Across the street, there's where New England Metal Technologies is, and then George Pierce's buildings, which has the Hamilton Enterprises and the motorcycle shop and the kayak shop, and everything that's on Turcotte. The line originally was just around town when it first was created, and Bob could probably clarify most of it. But it was mainly for the town buildings to be on the fire alarm system. And over time, it kind of expanded. It went to Plantation, the center school. Used to go to the old Ezekiel Rogers Library, and according to Sharon Emery, it's not a historical building, but that's all been discontinued. And then over time, when the police station got moved out to its current location, they had to extend the fire alarm wire out there because the PD does the dispatching. So there was never really any fees associated with it. And Market Basket came on, the Mill River Elderly Housing came on, and just a couple of buildings were added on over time, and they paid for the installation of the wire up Route 1 as well as putting the box on the system.
They paid for the installation, but no fee.
There's been no monitoring fee. It's been free for everybody. If there's any problems with their fire alarm box, they pay for the maintenance on it. Over the years, we didn't really have a lot of money dumped into it. You pay $4 a month for electric, for the circuit to be energized, tape for the tape machine, an occasional problem would pop up. And it ran pretty well for a long time. A couple of years ago, I had a very high budget expense to fix a lot of open faults in the wire. It was about $12,000 to do all that. And that's when I started looking at ways of starting to phase this thing out. It's a technology that's been around since the Civil War. They don't make parts for it anymore. They stopped making new parts for it in the 80s. Whatever you get now is a reconditioned item. So they don't really make stuff for it anymore. Originally I proposed a radio fire alarm box, which would basically it's the same thing except it's over radio waves. Unfortunately, it's very expensive, and we didn't kind of pursue it anymore after 2 years. You know, we were looking at about $150,000 to get the thing up and running and to pay for the town buildings that would need to have the radio alarm box. This past budget cycle, where we asked capital improvement, I looked at, there's a cellular radio transmission now that the water department's been using for their fire alarm system, and a lot of businesses in town have it, and it works very well, and it'll tell us exactly where in the building that the alarm was activated if the panel is able to do that. And I called the company that does our fire monitoring for the burglar alarm at the station to see how much it would cost to outfit the each building in town, or the town-owned buildings, not all of them, but the town-owned buildings. And it would come to he said depending on the age of the panel inside the building, like the one here, that's an old one. There's no cutting it. It's an old panel. There would be some stuff that needed to be added to it to make it work with the transmitter. And the whole cost of all the town buildings, including putting it on the highway department, which currently doesn't have, it's just a local fire alarm there, it would be a little less than $10,000 to do, to outfit all the town-owned buildings, and it would be about $500 a year to monitor it. The idea was once the town transferred from the fire alarm, Gamewell fire alarm box, which is currently in place, then I would be able to write up a timetable for everybody else that's on the system to get a new type of monitoring for their systems. And in a certain date, completely say you have it, whatever the time frame is, which has not been determined at this point, you have this many days to get off of it, or it's going to be shut down. On this date, in this time period, it will be no longer in service. And it gives them plenty of time to find an alternative method of notifying the fire department, which would be the same system that we would be doing and most businesses in town are doing already. Like I said, there's only 26 buildings that are on it. There'll be 25 once the school gets the renovation, because they're going to put their box out of service during the renovation, so it'll be one less box that we have to worry about. But that's where I've been going with for the last 3 years. This is the first year I'm going to propose a lot cheaper method than the original idea that I had.
And all of these they're buildings that are not part of the town buildings,
Right, nobody's,
that nobody's paid any
nothing,
fees for.
for as long as the system's been rented, which has been a lot longer than I've been here.
Wow.
Mr. Chairman, I looked through the chief's submission for capital equipment, and I would agree, we haven't formalized anything in terms of the capital budget, which we will be doing shortly, I assume. I agree with the chief that at this point, and after discussion with the outdated systems of the game well boxes and the red wires and all that, that for $10,000, and it'll be a monthly fee, a monitoring fee after that, it certainly seems to be the way to go. And we would put that 10,000, and we'll check the prices before we actually develop.
Yeah, we'll need to get really firm quotes, but
But I would recommend that we go that route. We talked about it with the MBTA when they were discussing having their Wi-Fi on the poles and stuff like that. It's about time we moved into the modern era, and we just require, like the chief says, we notify all the private businesses if they want to be on the system, that they provide their own similar, and there's a certain, we'll probably have to keep the red wire system in place for a year or two until we get everything done, but I would say that would be, my recommendation would be that's the way we go. We'll put it into the capital project budget for this year, and which means July 1st, we can start looking at turning it
I
over.
would suggest that we give like 18 months from the time the last town building's taken offline to say, you got this long to.
Yeah, we can work that out. I think most of the businesses, like you say, they'll jump on it pretty quick anyway. It's we're the ones that have time coming up with the money. But I mean, that would eliminate the need for, we brought up Dan Fielding's here from the light department on the red wire. Maybe Dan, you could explain to us how the pole system works. I always assumed that the Raleigh Light owned the poles, and we let the telephone company use it for a small fee, but I guess that's not quite the way it works.
No, not quite. Actually, the town and the Verizon own poles 50/50. So anybody else who's on the pole actually rents space. Like Comcast, Bayring, those people actually rent space from
Okay.
the Light and Verizon equally. But, as far as the fire alarm wire now, I would say at least 90% of it's already in the municipal space, so I'm not sure why Verizon is bringing this to your attention at this point. The fire alarm system's been there for, as the chief said, quite a long time, so not sure why this is all of a sudden cropping up now.
I think everybody's looking for nickels and dimes.
Possible, yeah.
But, yeah, I was kind of shocked myself when I heard that. I just assumed, I've been in town for a lot of years, and I just assumed that, I didn't really understand how it worked, and that we never actually talked about it before, so. But I mean, at this point, if we do switch over, the light department is willing to take down the red wire once the change is made. If we do go with a new system, I assume you guys would be
Yeah, we would
more than
do that.
willing to help us out and take the wire down, so. Based on that, like I say, my recommendation would be that we go with the chief's recommendation of the individual units.
Dan, my question is on the pole. Is it strictly a 50/50? Do we own the top half, they own the bottom half, or?
It's not that simple, no, but there's a lot of guidelines in place as far as measurements go, where our space is, where Verizon's space is, and where the common space is.
Okay.
The fire alarm is above Comcast, so it's in the municipal space, because our space runs from the top of the pole. I don't remember the measurement off the top of my head, but it runs down within a foot of the Comcast, and the fire alarm wire is within that space.
So it's within our space, it's already
Yes.
hooked?
Yes.
Okay, okay.
Now, when a car hits a pole and breaks it, do we pay the whole, do we split with Verizon on the cost, or how does that work?
On the cost replacement, Verizon reimburses the light department for its labor,
Okay,
because it's a 50/50 ownership, but we do all the pole sets in town.
right,
So any pole that's either broken or new, we set the pole and we bill Verizon for that work.
okay.
Bernie?
Yes, I just wanted to clarify, if we move to the new system, is it $500 per year, $500
Per
per
year.
month?
Per year.
Per year.
For all the municipal buildings?
Each building, 500 for each building to monitor,
500 per building?
per building.
Okay.
So everybody that has that building would be responsible for their monitoring fee.
Okay.
Now, we could, we'd go around and find the best deal. This is just
Sure, no, but
the
it-
working
it's-
number that I
As
have.
long as we understand what
Yeah,
the unit is.
it's per year, per building.
Okay, thank you.
If it was $500 for the whole, that's pretty cheap.
Okay.
I would recommend, Mr. Chairman, that we take, at this point, take this under advisement. And once we come up with whatever the capital budget will be, we'll include this in the capital budget, which the selectmen will okay at that time anyway. So rather than commit tonight, we'll work up the numbers and see how much we have available for a capital request anyway.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a tight year for budget, so we understand that it's going to be tough, but at least if we make the commitment to go this route, if the board agrees to go this route, then we'll move ahead with it on the capital equipment request.
The one thing to keep in mind is this wire is very old, and there is parts that should be replaced. And if we were to continue down the same route with the fire alarm wire, you're looking at a rather substantial cost on the wire itself, just to replace the wire. So it's
Yeah, no, it's definitely time to
Yeah.
it's time
modernize
to
and
kick
go with the radio
get rid of
control
the old and in with the new, so to speak. It's lived its life.
Yeah.
It served it well.
We got our money's
It's
worth.
time to go. Yes.
We'll have to do a request for a quote.
Depending
We'll have to
on,
get some
Yeah, that's,
specifications.
well, at that time, we'll
once
go.
we get the appropriation, we'll do a solicitation
Right.
Yeah.
on that.
Okay,
But for budgeting purposes, I think we'll just have to get a couple of estimates on what the
Yeah.
ballpark cost is for a town meeting.
Yeah, we'll have the chief hone down the numbers before we get the final budget for the capital request, so at least you can move forward on getting some more information,
Okay.
if the board, as long as the board doesn't disagree with that.
okay.
That
So
idea.
that we'll keep that on the agenda for,
Yes, and the other important part before Mr. Folding and Chief Broderick leave would be that whole agreement. If what RMLP General Manager Dan Folding is saying is that 90% of those, what Verizon is saying, is on the municipal portion of the pole.
Right.
I think maybe we need to be pushing back on this, and if we have a future plan to address this. Because why should we enter into this agreement with Verizon if,
If the wires are already in our
Yeah.
space, then I don't see why they
Yeah.
would want that anyway, but, and then if it's only a few poles that aren't in the municipal space, we can always move that attachment up, so it's already where it's supposed to be, so.
So, Dan, you take care of writing a letter, or do we write a letter to the,
well, I think what they're doing is they're sending it here because, those wires are under the custody technically of the town, not the Raleigh Municipal Lighting Plant. But based on the testimony of Mr. Folding, I think we could write back and say that, it's our understanding that 90% based on just your observation of your crew is on the municipal portion of it. Why shouldn't they show us which ones aren't? And then, in fact, if we have a plan to change this, or we'll move whatever's there now, and if these wires are eliminated down the road.
yeah, I'll make a
Yeah.
motion, Mr. Chairman, that the board, that we send Verizon a letter stating that just what Debbie just said, most of the wires appear to be on us. If they have any wires they feel are on theirs, the light department would be more than happy to
If
move
they
them.
point it out, and then,
And our intent is to
We'll have them moved.
eliminate the system within a relatively short period of time, next couple of years or whatever.
very good. Bertie?
Yeah, it just strikes me that if the wires are getting fragile and they may break down sooner rather than later, which I think is what you're indicating, why wouldn't we just notify everybody on the building that we're going to change and that they should, and it's not clear exactly when we will change, but it will be soon, so they should start their planning now rather than waiting to...
What are some of the places that have done away with the wires, a lot of municipalities have done away with the municipal fire alarm wire, they've given 3-year notices to everybody, blanket to everyone that has a fire alarm box. You have 3 years to do it. I felt that if we had the town do it first, there's the impetus for everybody else to realize that they're serious when they say that they're going to shut this thing down, because a lot of them will wait until the last possible second before they have to do anything and then ask for an extension, which is what we don't want to do.
Typically.
Well, I think, Chief, if we're gonna do this, if we're gonna appropriate the money to be used in FY19, then give them 1 year after that.
Yeah,
So it'd be
yeah.
basically 2 years.
Yeah.
No, if they don't wanna do it, then that's fine.
Well,
They're
it's
off
up
the
to
system.
them, and then they're off the system, and then they have, it's going to be a local
'Cause
fire alarm.
we don't wanna be going out there, fixing wires.
Yeah, no,
for
that's not
spending
the-
money to fix
It's-
stretches, especially stretches of wire if it,
There's fewer and fewer people that can do it now,
right.
and they're not young people.
Right.
Okay.
I made a motion, Mr. Chairman. I don't
Motion.
know if you had it.
Motion has been made and seconded to send the letter to Verizon.
Mm-hmm.
And that Dan will
We'll
find
see-
out
we'll
if
see.
there is anything that they claim that we have a wire attached to their section that'll be moved.
Okay.
And CC the light department and the fire department.
Motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The bottom of this. That's the next business. I guess this is part of the alarm system for municipal buildings, right?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, so we've just been doing some research on the alarm system here at Town Hall and the security system. And what we can do is just put that in as part of the capital request, if that's what the board would like to do.
Yeah, Debbie had sent out a discussion, a document indicating costs and so on and so forth. The system, this building was, I know in 1991, I was pressing the same keypad out there, so. It's old and tired, and we definitely need, whatever system we put in here, we need to do the same system for the annex. And once again, I would, like Debbie says, I would recommend is looking it over as part of the capital budget, that we do that
Right.
sooner rather than later, because we're playing with fire here when we don't have good working alarm systems, these two buildings.
Okay. Okay, moving on to old business number 2, we have an update on the Pine Grove School project. Last Wednesday evening, the architects gave an informal presentation on the site plan to the planning board. The meeting went well. The next meeting on the Pine Grove School Building Committee is February 8th, 2018 at 6:30 PM at Pine Grove School.
Mr. Chairman, do the plans include new yard lighting? Softly dark, leaving their town meeting night and so on?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. We have old business number 3, an update on the fire station and police station addition. Just let me go back to the Pine Grove School. Again, I'd like to repeat that the we are going to start the renovation on Patriots' Day, Monday, April 16th, at the Pine School. Okay, old business number 3, update on the fire station, police station addition project. Things are moving forward on the fire station and police station addition project. The Raleigh Light Department has removed wires last week. Tree removal at the site is underway. Construction trailers are being installed this week. Temporary access to the police station is being finalized. Castagna Construction Superintendent is now on the site. Construction site is now sectioned off and restricted. Castagna has contacted National Grid to schedule the relocation of the existing gas line, and the foundation for the police station addition is scheduled to be built in the middle of March, pending weather conditions. Anything else?
No.
Okay, number 4, old business, discuss recycling center. We have reached out to George Pachenko to find out more information about the Boy Scouts sponsored recycling events. Selectman Peterson has been in discussion with Highway Surveyor Patrick Snow about moving the recycling center temporarily to the Highway Department parking lot. This location can be locked up and provides greater security. There have also been recent news reports about significant issues with the end markets for plastic recyclables, which may impact the recycling center. China's import ban on certain recyclable materials went into effect in January, and recycling facilities are enforcing rules about accepting items in order to preserve their profits.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, just a discussion issue. I noticed last couple of days, you guys might have noticed too, been a lot of discussion in the business sections of the paper regarding China is really cracking down on the quality of the recycled stuff that they're getting. JRM, who picks up our recyclables, is also having problems. There was an article in one of the papers about, they have that big building down on Route 1 in Peabody. I don't know if you noticed, it's a big green building. And they haul everything in there, but it has to be sorted, and they're having trouble with plastic bags and, all kinds of non-recyclable stuff that they're sorting out. And it certainly sounds as though the price of recycling is going to go up substantially. And I think, we need to, even if we do nothing with our site, we're going to have to certainly take a look at, and maybe have JRM or have the office staff discussion with JRM to kind of get a handle on what the future costs might be. Well, obviously, we've had some severe, lately after the holidays, we've had some major problems at our recycling center, as you saw from the pictures that we all got and the discussion last week that poor Amy and Debbie and Highway Surveyor and the police all had to go down. It looked like literally a dump truck had dumped a load of cardboard or plastic or whatever. Last week I went down, I've been down a couple of times during the week, and I went down this morning just to check on it, and right now the JRM was taken out. They were in the process of taking away, emptying out the bins. And I went down there yesterday, and the place looked fairly orderly. I've talked with Pat. Pat's not real excited about having recycle bins in his highway barn area, but he's kind of reluctantly accepted the fact that if the board wants to go that way, that they can find a spot for them. It's most difficult in the winter because obviously wintertime he has sanding, salting operations going on, and he's concerned about the fact that people will be coming in there during the week and dumping trash and so on and so forth. So I think if we want to do that, I guess we got two options. Number one, we can kind of just see how things go at the recycling center and not put the pressure on Pat. If we see problems in the next couple of 3 weeks, we then take a look at moving it down to Pat's it seems to be better since we put the horses up there. I think I saw a couple of cars drive in, and when they saw the horses, they turned around and left. So I think that was a good sign. It's just, it's gonna be a big project to move the recycling center, number one, and put signs up and get people used to doing it. On the other hand, we have to be aware that anything that gets dumped out there
It doesn't seem like
is
the,
our responsibility.
doesn't seem like the Public Works really has sufficient room for that to me. I mean, it's pretty.
No, it's tight. This is
tight
only
there
a,
with their
the other thing, Phil.
their gravel and their sand and all
Yeah.
of the stuff they got there, you know, I don't know, I could see why Pat would be.
Oh, no, I can understand.
Crazy
Pat and I
about it.
walked it and looked at it, and it's a short-term fix, and I kind of intimated to him that our goal would be by next fiscal year, July 1st. The summer, sometime during the summer, we'd be looking at moving it some other location. So if we want to look at, I think we need to look at, in addition to what the costs are going to be, I think we need to seriously look around for another location. If we get the Didax building, if that moves forward, then we got some other options of places we can put the recycling center. But I think we definitely need to look at moving it. And I think it's just a matter of, what the board wants to do. I think we've kind of put it off for years. Everybody kind of looks at it, and the system's kind of run out there, and we've had the people that are working on the weekends on Saturday mornings do a good job, to be commended for. I'm sure they put up a lot of grief down there at times. But we really need to make a decision on a permanent alternate location, and the highway barn is just a temporary emergency fix, and we need to understand that, and Pat reluctantly understands that. And it's a matter of, once again, whatever it is, it's gonna cost money. So, something we'll have to put in next year, come up with some extra money in next year's budget, and which we may have to do anyway, just because of whatever JRM decides they might be gonna, if they're gonna increase prices. They've been, that budget's been a real small portion. I don't think it's changed much in the last few years. It's basically been level funded every year, other than the wages for the staff that
Pretty much,
staff
yeah.
it. So, I mean, I think it's, once again, it's like everything else, prices are going up, and I mean, I'm more than happy to spend a little time looking around and seeing what other spaces we might have. And like I say, if we can get Didax, that'll certainly open some doors for us that aren't available right now. But in the meantime, because it really needs to be a secured, fenced-in area, so people can't get at it when it's closed.
Okay.
I'll postpone this. I'll look around and keep an eye open.
We'll
Is
continue
that
to
what we want to do?
review.
Makes sense.
Yep. Okay?
Yep.
Okay, old business number 5, discuss Triton budget and update on Triton January 25th, 2018 Special District Communications Committee meeting. Triton School Committee and Administration is working on the fiscal year 19 preliminary budget. Triton Superintendent Brian Forget is calling for an emergency District Communications Committee meeting this upcoming Thursday evening at 6:30 p.m. at the Triton High School Library. Chairman Perry will read the attached email message from Superintendent Forget. Chairman Perry attended last week's Triton District Communications Committee meeting and will update the board. And I did that along with Selectman Peterson. Good morning. I am writing to request your attendance at an additional Emergency District Communications Committee meeting. The committee just scheduled for this Thursday, February 1st. We just concluded the school committee budget workshop on Saturday morning, I believe it was, and our figures continue to trend in a problematic way. As such, the school committee needs your input as they continue the discussion to ensure we're unified in our approach moving forward. We will meet in the high school library as usual and at the normal start time of 6:30 p.m. this Thursday, February 1st, 2018. I look forward to seeing you there. Please confirm your attendance by reply. I have replied to superintendent's budget that I will be attending. And I'd like to just pass out to the members of the board the agenda for Thursday night's meeting. I'm not sure that everybody will have a chance to attend, but I have.
Yeah, I'll be there,
copies.
Mr. Chairman.
But we did have a meeting on Thursday night. We had State Auditor Suzanne Bump, and we had Brian, yeah, I'm sorry, I can't think of it. Bruce Tarr. We had Senator Ayers, Connor Ives. And we also had Representative Hill, we had Representative Kilcourse, and we had Representative Mira to attend the meeting to discuss the lack of, well, in my opinion, the lack of state support for the regional district budgets and the lack of funding. And again, as the superintendent pointed out in a meeting here and several times, and it was presented, the diagram was shown at the meeting Thursday night, that 15 years ago, the state provided $8.6 million in state aid, and here it is 15 years later, and we're getting $300,000 less than what we got 15 years ago, which is really killing our budget. It's really hurting the town and providing us with deep budget concerns. So there will be a budget discussion on Thursday night, February 1st.
We also pointed out, Mr. Chairman, that the local aid for the cities and towns, where in that same time period, we're in about the same position as the school. We make less, we get less state aid now than we did 15 years ago. So the state is not even accounting for increases in inflation. They've cut us way back on the schools. We've gotten cut back. It's just, it's ridiculous. All of the school increases and any budget increases we have are being put on the local taxpayers. And I would say with the current federal budget, looking at cutbacks, and things like that, it's only gonna get worse. You can see from the governor's budget that we're getting the school's getting a pittance back in additional aid next year. I think they.
$48,000.
How much?
$48,000 in the
$48,000.
tentative governor's budget.
And, we're gonna get 18,000 or something. It's enough it's almost laughable for them to come out and brag about how they're increasing aid to everybody, and yet the money itself is, at a time when full employment and all those kinds of things are, supposedly the economy is booming. We can't increase some of this aid in booming times. I hate to see what's gonna happen in a year or two when we end up, somewhere along the way, we'll have another downturn in the economy, and we'll get cut back again. And like I said, like Joe said, we haven't made up of what we used to get 15 years ago. And, it's just, like we said last week, and the last few weeks here, we're in a bind. We've given Triton every year a boatload of our free cash, and free cash is a losing proposition. It's like a homeowner every year makes $50,000, they spend $60,000, so they take $10,000 out of the bank to make up the $60,000. Well, at some point, you don't have anything left in the bank, and at this point, that's where we are. And I'm a little concerned with this emergency meeting on Thursday night, because I would say that means, we had requested that the school take a look at their figures, and obviously, I don't think they're gonna give us any good news on Thursday night, so.
Doesn't sound like it.
So we're gonna have, if we have to come up with $700,000-800,000 or more, I don't know how the budget increase is gonna be divvied up between the three towns. The student population next year between the three towns is gonna stay about the same from the meeting that Joe and I went to last week. But how the state formula works and affects that, I don't know. The superintendent may have more information on that, but we're in a position where even if we have even if the budget gets divided up, increases, let's say it's $2 million and it's divided up three ways, that's still $600,000-700,000 for the town of Raleigh, and that will probably wipe out every nickel we have in free cash.
And just so people at home understand, you're talking about an increase, not the total amount that Raleigh pays for the school.
Correct.
So,
It's
Right.
just the budget increase for fiscal year 19.
Right. So they're talking, well, the superintendent sent us a letter of 2.2, just for between raises, special ed, and healthcare was gonna be 2.2. You know, fluctuate a little bit, might be a little difference in that, but, you know, those are the primary figures. And that didn't include any changes in the educational side of the budget of what they might be looking for to improve the school system. So, you know, without belaboring the point, we got problems. And like Larry mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, you know, we're talking about eating, if we have enough free cash to cover it, and if we can do it this year, we're not gonna be able to do it next year, so we're potentially gonna go bankrupt, because we can't cut back the police department and the fire department 50% each and survive. I mean, that's just absolutely impossible to do. We need snow, we need the highway department to plow the roads. Yeah, maybe we'll shut the library down for half its hours, but I mean, it's to save money is cutting personnel, and we don't have any extra personnel, so I mean, it's just.
We don't.
It's just, we're in a severe bind, and one of the things I mentioned the other night at the school committee meeting during the question and answer period was back in the early 90s when they redid the formula, the original formula came out, they had what they called the pothole. I know at least one year Raleigh was having troubles, and we were able to get $400,000 or $500,000, I don't know how much it was, $400,000 or $500,000 out of the pothole fund to at least get by for that 1 year. It doesn't help you for ongoing, but it kind of helps to settle a budget in a particular tough year. The pothole fund went for a number of years, and I know we drew from it, and I think either one or both the other towns did somewhere along the way too. And you know, the goal is really to revamp how they treat regional schools. They just they take second fiddle on everything. So I don't know what we're going to do, but you know, I'll be happy to accompany Joe to the meeting Thursday night and get a handle on it, because we can't do anything with that budget until we see what Triton is going to do for us in terms of what our assessment, you know, estimated assessment will be, and then we get a better handle on what cutbacks we might have to make to fund it, and see what we end up with free cash. But I mean, every year, this will be the fourth or fifth year in a row now we've drawn from free cash. And the thing with free cash is once you draw it out, you know, for last year, then you've already got that taken out again for this year. So I mean, that just keeps building. It isn't, when you use free cash for a capital project, it's a one-time expense. When you use it for an operating budget, the budget just keeps going up and up and up. So.
One of the issues that did come up Thursday night was that the mandate on the school transportation, and when the legislature passed that, they promised 100% funding, and they never, ever have funded it at 100%. And that's part of our cost problems. Bernie?
Yeah, well, for this Thursday meeting, what are the degrees of freedom that essentially are possible? I mean, are we just going to, is that meeting essentially going to repeat the kind of the restatement of the problems that we've got, or is there room for negotiations, or is the school district open for a kind of a reassessment of their expenses? I mean, there's no degrees of freedom as far as I can see. If the costs are the costs, and there's no change in there, and our revenue picture is what our revenue picture is, you know, it's going to be a miserable session.
The only thing that I can offer is that we will get a better idea of what their costs are, what they're talking about in the expenditures. But it is a district communications meeting, so it isn't a regular school committee meeting. So we're discussing. All three towns are there with the representatives from the boards of selectmen and from the finance committees to discuss the budget.
So can Narissa say, you know, how much room there might be for a reduction in the budget?
From the tenor of this, not to put Narissa in the middle, I'm not sure what she knows,
Oh,
but for the tenor of what this email says, you know, they obviously discussed issues over the weekend, but the letter we got was that, you know, raises account for 900,000, so that's cast in stone. The special ed was up $500,000 or $600,000. That's by state law. That has to be funded. Health insurance is up another $600,000 for them, which is another one that the only way you're going to cut any of those is raises in healthcare is to lay off 100 teachers or something. And so it's like going to a wedding. If you want to save money when you're running a wedding, is you cut in half the number of people coming to the wedding. So I mean, this is what we're dealing with. So I'm sure when the school committee, and I'm not trying to speak for them, but when they went through the budget on Saturday, yeah, they can cut a few thousand here and a few thousand there, but I mean, the big cost items are just, they're not going anywhere. And like everything else, is we literally have no control. We get the bill. We do not have any control over the school budget. We can turn it down up to 3 times, and then the 3rd time the state comes in and says what we will fund it at. Well, you know they're going to fund it at pretty close to the level the school committee wants. How we'll pay for that, maybe we end up declaring bankruptcy at some point, and the state can come in and run the town. I mean, there's other communities have had to do that. So, I mean, it's a sad situation because, you know, it's something that, you know, like we like to say here, Bob Snow always says, we run a frugal operation. We don't have any excess. You know, we have 2 firemen and a chief in a call fire department. We have a dozen police officers, which manages to get us 2 men or 2 people out on a shift. You know, if we cut them in half, we're going to have 1 cruiser out there, poor guy by himself, poor person by themselves. You know, highway department would, I believe, and I could be wrong, but I believe we have 3 full-timers in the highway department. I mean, you start cutting these departments back, there is no room. We can cut the library, I guess, in half, and then the state will come in and penalize us because we're cutting back on per library. That's another department that the state has a big say in what you can do and can't do. You cut them in half, and they come down and penalize you, and you know they cut back your state aid and all that we put in the library. You know, I don't know. I don't pretend to have an answer here, but we have a serious problem, and you know, Thursday night we'll see where we're going, and we'll get some idea what Newbury and Salisbury are, what they're planning. But I mean, it's just we have an emergency. We really do, and how we're going to solve that at this point is up in the air. So.
I also did some research on the web, and I do have the regional school district budget process a copy for members of the board, just for informational purposes. So, if you can make it Thursday night, we'll get some information. Larissa?
I just wanted to note from the last DCC meeting, the one thing you didn't mention, although it was kind of alluded to in passing, was that we do have the step 1 calculation from the state, from DESE, which was what wreaked such havoc last year, where even if it was a level funded budget from 2017, you would have had one community that went down 200,000, one that went up 175 or 125,000, the other one that went up 75,000, and right off the bat there was that huge swing. There is not a huge swing this year, largely thanks to them only increasing effort reduction, which is kind of what has screwed with the numbers previously, by 10%.
Yes, we got those figures.
So I want to say I don't have the numbers in front of me. I want to say Newbury goes down 14,000. Do you have them?
Yeah,
I know
yeah,
Raleigh is like 8.
Yeah, we got the figure.
Yeah.
The good news was that all 3 towns this year it wasn't like last year where Newbury lost
Right.
30 students and we only lost 5, and you know we got hammered. So that's why I say even if it comes out equally, if it's a $2 million increase in the budget, we still got a couple of $600,000 or $700,000. So, you know, luckily for us, those numbers seem to have come out even, and then just how the state plays with those in their formula is something else. But the only other thing might be that in the discussions about how the assessments are made to towns in the future, maybe that Newbury's been reluctant to change the formula because they've been benefiting from last 2 years. They've actually got a reduction in Triton, while everybody else paid more, so maybe they'll be more open to changing. But that's for future years. It's not gonna do anything for us for
No,
this year.
but we have at a previous meeting discussed that the board did make an offer to the Triton School Committee that we have an increase in Prop 2.5 monies, and we have a new growth, and we offered half of that, and so that is still on the table. But over and above that, we are concerned of any dollars over that.
Yeah, anything above 200 and 250,000 comes out of free cash for an increase in the assessment, so at this point, we'll look at it at assessments somewhere between probably, or it's up around 700,000, give or take. And that would be probably optimistic if it's 700,000, so we still gotta come up with 500,000 on the free cash, so, or cutbacks in town services. So, something we'll keep looking at, and we'll find out Thursday night what kind of good news the superintendent and the administration has for us.
Okay, any further discussion? Minutes, we have minutes for January 8th. And I see that everybody was here.
Yeah, I'll give you a motion, Mr. Chairman, to approve.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve the minutes for January 8th, 2018 Board of Selectmen meeting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We have announcements. The Friends of the Council on Aging is sponsoring a shoe drive during the month of April at the Town Hall Annex, 39 Central Street. Paired footwear, such as the following, may be deposited in the container at the Annex parking lot. Shoes, boots, work boots, sandals, slippers, flip-flops, heels, sneakers, pocketbooks, purses, backpacks, and belts. Information on the Pine Grove School project is available on the town's website at www.townofrowley.net. The town has the following vacancies. Is that Open Space Committee filled?
That's done now.
So the Open Space Committee seat has been filled. Fence viewer is still 3 positions. Wood, lumber, and bark inspector. Zoning Board of Appeals associate, 3 seats. Parks and Recreation Committee, 1 seat. And deputy shellfish constables, 2 positions. For more information on these positions, please contact the Selectmen's office at 948-2372. The Rowley Food Pantry is in need of donations. Donations can be left at the Rowley Public Library. The food pantry is open on Tuesdays from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. and on Thursdays from 5:30 p.m. to 7 p.m.
Give you a motion to adjourn, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much.